Y'all, Jay here. So I'm gonna be doing a combination episode here because me and Meka recorded, and I didn't have any audio set, so it's on me. But I'm doing this so that we can record episode 5, which we just watched. So this will be a lead into that. And episode 5 is a fire episode, so make sure you look for that when that comes out. But anyway, so episode 3 and 4, a little bit went on. I'll say, we'll go couple by couple. So let's start with Will and Courtney. So in these 2 episodes, you kind of have the fallout of Courtney, getting back locked up, getting out, having her friend Mark come pick her up, Will finding out about that, and understandably having a whole problem. And you kind of see that her friend Mark actually, he has feelings towards her, or he just, wants to be with her, wants to be a sugar daddy, and all that sort of stuff. They kind of question if there's like a physical relationship between them two. They kind of dance around that a little bit. She stays with him. Will's trying to get in contact with her because he was supposed to go up there and get her. He didn't do that, so they're just falling apart. Understandably so. Will did all this stuff for her, and then come to find out, she gets put back in jail for drugs and all this other stuff. I understand his frustration. Just been like, I ain't got time for this. This is not what I'm trying to do. This is not what I thought when I was getting a wife. Maybe you shouldn't have married her within 2 days of her getting out and whatnot, and you didn't even have that big of a relationship with her ahead of time. But hey, you make decisions. He has to deal with the repercussions of his actions. So that kind of is what's going on with them. And actually, Courtney's moving around. She has one of her female friends from, that she was in jail with, and I guess she has had some sort of like romantic or sexual interactions with, kind of help her out. And she goes to pawn the ring that Will gave her, which is supposed to be a $10,000 ring. When she takes it to the pawn shop and they test it, they say, hey, we can give you $6 for this because it is extremely fake. So she's kind of bad out here, trying to hustle money from men. She's kind of losing places to stay at her halfway houses and whatnot. She has a few issues going on that she got to correct, but, try to distance herself from Will, but wanting Will to take care of her financially. She's in this thing with this Mark guy. The ring is fake, And in episode 5, we'll see the progression of that, going on and whatnot. So that's them too. You have Justine and Michael. Their whole situation just stems solely around her getting this wedding that she wants, which is kind of understandable. They got married while she's in jail, but this man's gotten out, building a life. Building businesses, trying to hustle for his family. You got 9 kids. You got to do that, and he's doing that. And he's making a way, and she wants this $80,000 wedding with elephants and all this other stuff. And he's saying he wants to give it to her, but he doesn't want it to jeopardize them fiscally, which makes total sense. And she's being uncompromising about it, at least initially. Walking out of meetings, causing arguments, not talking to him. And it comes out that she has some issues with her mother or her family that he feels she's trying to use this to compensate for that. In so many ways, at least the show that she wants to put on. She's willing to jeopardize a barbershop that he's trying to start, a high-end barbershop, because she just wants what she wants. And there's a level of selfishness on her end, and maybe on his end also, especially if she has put herself second to his business endeavors in the past. They were going through that episode 3, and then going into episode 4, they kind of come to amends about it, or at least a compromise and understanding to do it, but just in a different way, something that's not such a taking on financially. So, that was, honestly, and the big thing is, they have a daughter that's going to college and things like that. I get their story. It's not, not to say it's not drama filled, because it's not, but, I don't see a lot of conflict there, which is good. We don't want, conflict, but their storyline's kind of boring to me, truthfully. Then we have, I just call them the Arizona couple, because I forget their names. I believe the girl's name is Bianca. I forget what the guy's name is. The biggest thing going on with them is he had to go to court because he had gotten caught shoplifting back in the past, and he has to go to court in regards to it. Goes to court, he has to pay like restitution and do some community service. which is great. But now he's kind of dodging, not answering the calls, not coming home. She's kind of freaking out. There's a 7-year gap between these two. I believe she's 24, he's 31. And she's trying to make sure that he doesn't backslide into getting into trouble using, alcohol or drugs, things of that nature. He's kind of showing signs that he has been doing that. He actually admitted a few episodes ago that he did indulge in a drink. So they're kind of going through that. She wanted to leave the show when he wasn't responding to her. They talked her back in. Production did. So that's their storyline is just kind of right there. Nothing too special. We have Demadric, Kiana, and Joella. Biggest thing going on here, outside of the fact that Demadric is just bouncing back and forth, don't know who he wants to deal with. I guess Joella's tires got slashed and she had a derogatory word spray painted on the back of her car on the window. So that cost $600 to fix her tires on her car that looks like it's worth $200. But okay, whatever. Cool. But it turns out that she filed a police report stating that Kiana did it. And the whole thing now is trying to get this to go away, not to cause any issues for Demadric, and also to keep her out of any legal issues. We're still circling around this birthday party too, whether Kiana's kids or Kiana's going to go to Demadric's son's birthday party that he has with Joella. So they just kind of keep circling around that whole thing. In these 2 episodes, no real resolution for it. It's just, just a bunch of, it's up in the air. Joella did what she did. Kiana is trying to deal with it. And Demadric is trying to find a way to mend the fences to kind of keep balance, if he can, with all the mess that he's running in between. And there will be fallout to that in the next episode. After that, we have Keith and Latricia. This has to, center around him being in the halfway house, and it's a co-ed halfway house. But also we get to see him, Latricia takes him, has his family there to meet him and everything, because he's, at the halfway house, but he's home. So we get to meet his family, his father, his kids, I believe like his aunt, things like that. So that's pretty much the crux of their story, just him getting reacclimated to society and her assisting with that as his wife. And, I think she's, doing a really good job of that. She seems pretty solid from what I can see so far on the show. Hopefully it's something that, works out for the best, because, to get out for the amount, I think he's gone for 11 years, I think they said. And to have somebody who's trying to at least show that they're being solid, include family and all these things like that, you can't even get that from people in regular relationships these days. So that's a big plus for him. So we're going to see where that goes. But nothing, too dramatic on their end. And now we get to, I'm going to slide this in because I've been messing up with the recording. I had recorded the whole video and then realized that I did not talk about Troy and Zahara. Troy, I believe he's in Syracuse, but he's from Buffalo. Him and his wife Zahara live in Syracuse, and he's from Buffalo. This is our introduction into him on Lyfe, after Lockup. And the thing with him is he has family back home in Buffalo. He has a younger brother who is going through some things that he needs to locate and check on. Zahara doesn't want him to go. She had issues with him going. We later find out why, but Troy ends up going anyways. And Zahara and Troy's mother do not get along. And Troy's mother is a handful. I've come across mothers like that before. They are problematic. And she seems to be just that. Troy states how growing up, him and his family, his brother, they had 2 brothers. He has 2 brothers. One of them is deceased, died, I believe 14 years ago, something like that. So that's why he's so worried about his younger brother. So he goes to Buffalo, sees his mother. They kind of have a little, interaction outside on the corner. It was like be early in the morning. She talking about she's going to get her a cocktail. And I believe they showed her rolling one when she was on the phone with him. So yeah. But outside of that, we get to meet his brother, who's 4 years younger than him. When their brother passed, Troy was 14 or 16, and the brother was like 10 or 12. So the brother is 26 now. The whole time when he was going up there, I'm thinking this brother's like a teen. maybe late teens if anything. He's trying to stop him from doing wrong. This dude's 26, got a kid and everything. It's like, how much, I mean, you can assist him, but like, what can you really do? But I commend him for going, you know, to be there with his brother, because Troy had been in jail for a number of years also. So his brother really didn't have anybody except for they had a sister also. So you get to see that. And Troy has a daughter also named Troy, but we don't get to see her in this episode. But Troy is going through some real emotional, you know, confliction within himself because of the whole situation with his family, which is understandable. And that's really what his story is centered around right now. That and him just kind of distancing himself from his wife while he goes to handle this business, because I believe he feels that his wife isn't supporting him. I don't necessarily know if that's true. We'll have to wait to see a little bit more. She seems to have her concerns, and understandably so, you know. So that was Troy and Zahara. There'll be more about them in episode 5 review also, but I had to slide that in. So now back to, I think next would be JK and Brooke. JK and Brooke. This is of these 2 episodes and the next episode, this was the good storyline, I guess you could say. You know, JK is trying to get this truck so he can get to working, get to make money. He's off of his house, you know, home confinement. So he got him a truck. We got to see his father's interaction with him, and they spoke about how his father put his career above JK growing up. So maybe that lended to certain things. We seen that, you know, JK and Brooke, you know, have been trying to conceive and everything the whole time. But JK starting to, and we also seen that Brooke had lost her job when from the previous season, when she ran out to go and stop JK from being over at Alex's house. And JK finds that out, and he pretty much cuts things off with Brooke for the most part, you know, because she's not working. And Bonnie is the one who told Brooke this information. No, Bonnie's the one that told JK after Brooke told her. So then we kind of fast forward. So now JK's got his distance. He's just doing him. He's not answering. And Brooke takes some pregnancy tests. She takes 6 of them. 4 of them come back pregnant. 2 of them come back negative. She's trying to get in contact with him, telling him she can't get in contact with him. In the midst of all this, JK's mother shows Brooke a video of JK just around the house, and he looks like he's using again. He looks clearly under the influence of something that seems like it could be pretty, you know, from how he's looking, pretty strong, which was very unfortunate to see also. You know, the whole thing to this is not to see people necessarily go through turmoil. You definitely don't want to see people backsliding into old addictions and habits, but it looks like that's what's going on with JK. We also see JK go to Alex's house, take off his microphone, and close the door so that nobody hears what's going on, whatever they're talking about or whatnot. So Brooke goes and get a blood test taken. We don't get the results of it, but when she goes back to her home after the blood test, Bonnie is there removing the rest of her stuff because Brooke kicked her out of the house. So they kind of get into a little back and forth, and Bonnie tells her that not only has JK been messing with Alex, but also that Alex was pregnant and had a miscarriage. To which, obviously, this set Brooke off. You know, she's dealing with her own possibility of being pregnant, whilst finding out that not only has JK been dealing with Alex consistently, but that she may or may not have been pregnant and may or may not have had a miscarriage. You know, so obviously that's going to turn into something. Didn't really see much of JK this episode, or those episodes, him just pretty much like he ain't dealing with it, he ain't got time for it. And, you know, to be honest, Brooke is a bit much. Like, I don't see how she could think with that type of personality that she has and that she's showing that she could necessarily keep a man, which is probably why she was looking for him. You know, so whatever. But that's where we were at those 2 episodes, 3 and 4. The review on episode 5 is going to be a little bit more in depth, obviously. A lot goes on in episode 5. Me and Meka are going to do it together, so it'll be the both of us. But I had to make up for screwing up the audio on the previous 2 videos, and they're actually pretty good videos. So sorry for this truncated edition of it, but it is what it is. Look forward to the next one. Till then, I'm out.